Hello, family. This is Brother Jamala coming at you again, other known as Brother Soldier 4D. I want to pick up in part 4. This may be the last part of this session about developing self-love that combats self-hate in little ones. Maybe I'll hit on that just a little bit here and then move to the bigger ones, meaning the teenagers and adults. So, when we were talking about the things that can help little ones, we talked about some books like cartoons and picture books. Picture books are one of the most valuable things that you can bring to them, things that they can relate to, that they can see. So, after you read a story to them, you turn the book around and show it to them, show them the picture. And what this does, this gives the little ones something that is called nurturing. It nurtures them. They're there for the nurturing of it. And it also teaches them to think and reason and develop their memory compartments in their mind to try to associate the story with what they know. It also, like if you read a story of Shaka Zulu and the challenges that Shaka Zulu had, then after you finish the story, you process it with them. Maybe say, so what is the best thing you liked about this story? What is the worst thing you heard in this story? Do you think that Shaka was right? Or, just rap to the children. You'll kind of know what to say because of their age level and their comprehension. But these are things that can help them. Let them sit in a circle, and then you can do this with songs. You can do this with quotes. Oh man, one of the most valuable things you can use is famous quotes by strong warriors, strong people who have led in the struggle of the Black Africans. You can do quotes from Marcus Garvey. You can do quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King. You can do quotes from Malcolm X. You can do quotes from Patrice Lumumba. You have Nelson Mandela, Winnie Mandela, quotes from these types of people who have actually fought, bled, and died. Those are some of the best teachers. Be leery of those who are projected as leaders, but they really don't have the blood, sweat, and tear history and the labor and the toil with their people. But they're selected by the wolves that do not love us to be your leader. They set them up there. They create these leaders. Just be leery of those kind of leaders. You have to be, as a parent, as a good teacher and a good steward and a good shepherd, you have to be a person that screens the bad. Just like a sieve, when you put dirt on it and the good things stay, or either the bad things stay up top and the good thing and the fine stuff falls through. You have to sort out what you give to these kids. I've been in school systems where I would say from 1987 to about 2018, I've been blessed to teach in many school systems. And I just went in as a substitute a teacher that fills in for the regular teachers. And I was able to traverse almost, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 9 different townships. And I usually would get my work assignments through the middle schools. And the middle schools were like usually grades 7th, 8th, and 9th, or 6th, 7th, and 8th. And those are the times when peer pressure is the strongest. And those are the groups I usually like to go to first. And then when you get into the senior high school, they're a little more disciplined, have their goals and careers kind of sorted out, and they kind of understand things a lot clearer. But the ones that are challenged the most were the middle school. So I used to go there a lot. And then the elementary level, which is kind of what I'm speaking about now, were more concrete They had not had the ability to understand abstract terms, like abstract sentences. Like if you have a sentence that says, there's no use to crying over spilled milk. If you ask an 18-year-old, what does that mean? They'll say, there's just no use to wasting your time over things that don't amount to anything. They understand abstractions. But if you go to a young child and say, no use to crying over spilled milk, well, he's looking in his mind as a glass of milk turned over on the floor, and that there's milk spilled on the table, but he's not sure what it pertains to, because he's not crying right now. So he is in more of a concrete state. So when you start reading these stories to these little ones in that age category, they begin to try to process, and their imagination grows. And so you, as a facilitating of their growth and intellectual maturity, you are helping them connect with life just by reading these stories. And you want to show them pictures of people of color, because that is them. And they can relate to that more so than they can getting pictures and images of little European children every time they look up, and then they get on the commercials on TV, European. And then they go to the church, European Christ. And then they go out to the city, European police. Then they go to the supermarket, European supervisors. And then you have, this is definitely true in North America. And then you have European managers, and then you have cashiers and janitors, or people of color, people that are Black Africans. Why? So that's the power dynamic has always been the same. No matter how many Black Africans rise into the high seats of power in the country, that power dynamic between black and white, black being African being on the bottom, and the European white being on top, that power dynamic is there, and that teaches inferiority to our kids, and that teaches superiority to the white kids. Dr. King once preached in a sermon, and he said the white children learn only about 15 ways to be superior, where the African or the black child is learning 26 ways to be inferior. Now, what statistic that he used for that, I do not know, but the message was clear, that we have more things taught to our black children to be inferior compared to the European white children that are taught 15 just less ways to be superior. So when I was going through, as I was saying, when I was going through these schools, some of these schools were all black children at the elementary level, and then I would go to some schools where there was predominantly white children, European, few black. And I would go to some schools that were almost 50-50 black and white, European and African. And I've gone through all levels. I wanted to see how much the educational system has changed since I was a little boy. When I was a little boy, I attended 12 schools, between the all-black inner city to the all-white senior high. And I've attended 12 schools before I graduated from high school. 12. That averages to about one school a year, because we move so much. And I got to learn racism early. I got to learn black self-hatred early. And I'm just a little boy having to fend for myself out on the playground and trying to walk to school. There were no buses for the inner city black kids, but you go out to the suburbs and the more affluent communities, they have buses, beautiful carpet in the schools, and swimming pools and tennis courts and all the things that you would dream to have. But in the inner city, you have a lot of that. They have basketball court. And we had, we just didn't have that kind of money. And so I got to see the haves and the haves not. I got to sit in classes with all European children and see how I was treated. And I got to sit in with all black and see how I was treated. So when you see me reading from something on this channel, like this book here, this is a book I've written. I've written this for over 30, it's been out here for like 25, 30 years. I haven't published it yet. It's getting ready to be published. But in the meantime, I'm reading from my own notes. So when I come to this platform, I come as a person who has experienced life, and I teach from that angle. I also had a lot of church affiliations coming up as a boy and then as a grown man. And the Pentecostal faith has been one of the ones I lean toward the most, because my conversion at 16 years of age, I was pretty impressed with the message at that time. But even as I began to grow, I start seeing black self-hatred throughout my childhood, even through the churches and even up until now. And this is one of the reasons why you see me coming out with these messages first. And so I'm kind of rapping to you now. I am talking about the little children, but you'll see me put a little bit of experience in here so that you'll see why I'm doing what I'm doing. But as far as the children, you want to give them as much as possible for the first 3 to 4 or 5 years of their time in school, maybe 3 years in school. Let them try to be around black African teachers so that they can associate authority with their people that look like themselves. After about fourth grade, third, fourth grade, it doesn't matter. I mean, what teachers, but the beginning phase is when they're forming their ideas about power relationships. You want them to have some sense of love about themselves. Even though the other races seem to have all the power, you want them to have a sense of pride and let them know that we're in a struggle to reclaim our heritage and to reclaim our minds. And that is part of the battle that we're in. And so they don't lose the respect. But if you lie to them and you tell them a lot of things against their own people, and they hear you in the house every day talking against Africa, you're going to be a part of that mechanism that transfers negative self-images to them just by how you talk around them. And you're going to cause them to not trust their people and to trust alien cultures and alien people that are not even like them. So they have to have love within themselves before they can love others. And one thing about the church could have been a really strong instrument to help with self-love, but church is so bent on a lot of times identifying with the status quo and identifying with their oppressor that they just try to assimilate you into that situation or push you to blend into it as though you need them. One big statement that I hear a lot of blacks in North America, a lot of black Africans say in North America, is that you got to be able to get along with white people in order to be successful. I hear that so many times, but I don't think that the European whites are telling their children you have to be able to get along with black people or Africans in order to be successful, because they got the power. They got mainly the power. And there's Africans that are born in the U.S. and born in the continent that look at Europeans and all of them as superior. They just taught like that from the beginning. So when those people come in to visit the land or visit the community, you run to them like they're some god. But you're not running to other people like that. So these things are poison. These things, you can't do that. You have to give allegiance and honor to your people. The very power that you cater to and you say, well, they got all the power. Well, there's one time that your people, the Africans, had all the power, but those are not taught. Those are played down in the books, textbooks in our schools. So going back to these schools before I close here, those schools had not changed. There's only one school in the 35 years I've been in that school that had a book on African history. And I remember the name of that school was a middle school. Now, only one textbook that I've seen in all those years. So we have a long way to go. My time is up. Peace, love, man, know thyself. Self-knowledge, self-love is our only way out. Peace.